Top of the morning, top of the afternoon, top of the evening. Welcome to Book to Not Bother. I am your host, B. Eddie. All right, guys, I got a packed episode today. Not only do I have a book review, but I also have a story that I have just written. I wrote it last week. It doesn't even have a title yet, but I'm still going to share it. My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh. When I first read this premise, a woman going full hermit, cutting herself off from the noise of the world, the constant chatter, just complete separation from society for an entire year. It almost feels cleansing. I mean, I love the concept and the intentional inward retreat. I mean, even if it is self-imposed exile, I mean, the narrator, it's almost inevitable. She lost her job. She's deeply disturbed. I mean, and she almost doesn't have a choice that she feels. But it's the lengths that she goes through in order to make this year of rest and relaxation a success. And that's when things start to go dark and bizarre and strangely liberating. Okay, so she's young, rich, orphan, conventionally beautiful, and determined to obliterate her past self. I mean, seriously, her plan is to sleep for an entire year, emerging as a better person. Do you want to know her method? Her method was a buffet, and I do mean a buffet of pills, over-the-counter meds, and whatever Dr. Tuttle, her psychiatrist, is willing to scribble on her pad, and Dr. Tuttle likes to scribble shit. Like, these were cocktails of pills that I had no idea. I felt like she was going to kill herself. She continuously took pill after pill on top of pill. It was a lot. I was like, girl, you gonna die before this book over. So when she's not asleep, her life is minimal. She takes trips to the bodega. She goes down to the drugstore down the street. Occasional visits she'll get from her best friend, Riva. That's another situation. She's a woman who's equal parts insecure and exhausting. I mean, has an affair with her boss, and he's married. And oh gosh, I mean, she's clinging to self-help slogans while she binge drinks and makes herself throw up. Our narrator watches old VHS tapes, like old movies from the 90s. Like, she was obsessed with Whoopi Goldberg. I'm not joking, like obsessed. I don't know how many times I saw Whoopi Goldberg's name in this damn book. Whoopi Goldberg need to know that she in a book. I mean, it's quite a ride with her year of relaxation. But by the end, after the narrator finally emerges from her drug-induced hibernation, we get a little tiny glimpse of, almost laughable glimpse of when she's outside and she's feeding squirrels cornflakes in the park, and she's obsessed with animal crackers, which I appreciate because I myself love animal crackers, and I love the fact that this here character does as well. And you know what? I think the ending kind of got me, because about the last few pages in the book, she finds out Riva died in the World Trade Center. So she records this news clip of a woman jumping out of the World Trade Center building. And she convinces herself that it's Riva. And she watches she's recorded, and she watches this footage and repeat for years. That's almost like, her way of grieving, I'm assuming. It's depressing, it's messy, but it's also a fascinating story. I mean, the whole thing made me think about how far one would go to do some self-improvement. Yeah, I gave it a 4-star. It was a good book. Now for the moment of my untitled story that I just finished. I actually finished the last finishing touches last night. Like I said, I don't even have a title. But here we go. Chapter 1. They say curiosity killed the cat. I think that's just bad PR for curiosity. To me, it's heightened awareness, a sign you're paying attention, being nosy. Sure, everyone's guilty. It's human nature to peek behind the curtain. And if curiosity killed the cat, well, cats have 9 lives. Seems like a pretty good survival rate to me. The TV voice jolted me awake. Has arrived in Russia. He spent the last few weeks trying and failing to negotiate a ceasefire in Gaza and Israel. Or talk before coffee. Perfect. I blinked against the light. Somehow I'd fallen asleep on the couch again. Not the plan, especially not last night. I just received my overpriced wafer down blanket that I couldn't wait to use. The familiar scrape of plastic against asphalt cut through the morning news. Trash bins. The neighbors were dragging theirs to the curb. Crap, I muttered. I forgot again. It's a stupid little ritual of mine. Get my bin out before they do. A private, unspoken race. When I win, I feel like I've already chalked up a victory for the day. When I lose, I just lose. Living alone does that to you. You invent games no one else knows that you're playing. And today, Corey and Tori beat me to it. They live directly across the street. My front window is a perfect frame for their lives, like a live painting I can't help glancing at. They're early 30s, if I had to guess, mismatched, but in a way that keeps me watching longer than I mean to. Corey's voice barely rises above a whisper when he speaks. I would have to move closer to him to hear what he's saying. The both of them have an accent that I can't place. He moves his hands a lot when speaking, almost theatrical. Tori's the opposite. She moves like someone with a to-do list burned in her brain, always walking fast like she has somewhere to be. Even in small talk, she has this calm that feels deliberate, like she's rehearsed it. Together, they're not fit. Corey and Tori sounds like a failed early 2000s sitcom. When they first introduced themselves, I actually waited for the punchline. Never came. They invited me over for dinner once, not long after moving in. It was a casual mention in passing. While grabbing the mail, I said yes, before I could even think of a good excuse. I don't generally like to mingle with people, especially neighbors, but I went. The house smelled amazing. Whatever was on the menu, it smelled delicious. Corey emerged from the patio with a dish towel on his shoulder, plating salmon like we were his audience on some chef show. Tori poured wine, making small talk about weather, traffic in the streets, potholes. At one point, I mentioned how I love this neighborhood and how quiet it is. When she says, "The one thing about quiet," she smiled slightly, "it's when the most happens." She took another sip of her wine. "People think it means nothing's happening." I smiled, not sure what to do with that. Then the food landed in front of me and conversation died. The salmon melted like butter. The bread was warm enough to steam as it was cut. I was impressed. We drifted into work talk. I mentioned I'm a head librarian at the local branch. This is usually a conversational dead end. They nodded politely. Tori said she's a NICU nurse. I gave the standard, "Wow, that must be so rewarding." And she took a sip of her wine without elaborating. Then Corey, still smiling, said he works for a Russian company. No name, no details, just those words. I raised an eyebrow. "Doing what?" He chuckled, tilting his head like he was deciding how much to say. "So, Russian things." That was it. I nodded like that was a normal thing, but the way he said it stuck with me longer than the taste of that salmon. Now, I haven't felt the same about them since. I'm a news junkie, not mainstream, not sanitized. I go deep. Independent journalists, conspiracy boards, the people with dirt under their nails from digging. Lately, I haven't been scrolling, I've been spiraling. Morning headline today alone. Russian expels U.S. diplomats following spy accusations. Kremlin ramps up cyber retaliation. Anonymous leak alleges U.S. company has private contracts with Russian intelligence. And that's before coffee. I tell myself, it's just awareness, responsible citizenship. You want to know the truth? It's compulsion. I want to be the first to see the world tip over. It was 2 weeks without spotting Corey or Tori. No lights through their blinds, no cars leaving, just two unfamiliar vehicles parked behind theirs, unmoved. This morning, I finally see her, Tori in her dark hoodie, dragging the trash bin to the curb. She lines it up perfectly, then turns and walks towards my house. 3 knocks. Even though I saw her coming, the knock still startled me. "Hey," she says softly when I open the door. "Sorry to drop by unannounced." Pushes up her sleeves. "We're headed to Vermont for the week." I nod, unsure why she's telling me. "And Corey's expecting a package," she continues. "Something he really needs for work, but he won't be here to sign. Would you mind signing it for us when it comes?" I hesitate. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. When's it supposed to show up?" "In the next day or 2. I already called the post office, had the delivery changed to your address. Figured it'd be easier since we're right across the street." That stops me. "You already changed the address?" He nods like it's nothing. Yeah, I assumed you'd say yes. The audacity. She smiles faintly. We'll make it up to you. When we get back, dinner's on us. Corey can make that balsamic dip you like. Then from her pocket, she pulls out a receipt-like paper. Trekking number, just in case. I take it, still processing. Thanks again. Turning to leave. Hood up now, hands in her pockets, I watch her cross the street and glance down at the paper in my hand. Something about the whole thing feels off. Not just the favor, the assumption. Like we already had an agreement I didn't even know about, and they don't even know me like that. I shut the door but didn't move away from it. I looked at the tracking number like it might start explaining itself. It didn't. I set it on the kitchen table where it looked out of place, mingling with my things, and then I left it there and forgot about it. Chapter 2. The next morning I heard him before I saw him, the FedEx guy, announcing himself with that loud-ass truck. He didn't just drive into the neighborhood, he arrived. Brakes squealing, engine roaring. It was 1:45 and I was just settling into my second cup of coffee. I peeked through the blinds in time to see him scanning for the right house. By the time I opened the door, he was already halfway up the walk, box in hand, mid-conversation into his earbud, like I was just another checkbox on his route. He didn't pause when he handed me this little electronic pad for a signature, just swapped it for the package like we were doing some illegal drug deal. The box was heavier than it looked, enough to make me adjust my grip. No return address, no logo, just my name, my address, and more tape than seemed necessary, supposedly containing something Corey needed for work. I set it down on the kitchen table right beside the tracking slip. I made lunch, washed dishes, watched Dateline, but every time I passed through the kitchen, my eyes landed on the box. I even picked it up a time or two and gave it a shake like it was going to rattle off an explanation. By bedtime, it was still there, exactly where I'd left it. I was half watching the news in bed, lights off, when the anchor's voice cut sharp over the quiet. We're interrupting programming with breaking news. The president has been shot during a public event in Chicago. Details are still coming in. They cut to shaky footage, people screaming, running, security swarming the president from all directions. The camera jerked and blurred, catching flashes of panic. A dropped shoe, someone clutching their chest. The anchor's words were just placeholders, stalling for updates. The next morning, I was fresh out of the shower, still warm from the steam. Clean clothes clinging just right. When I finished brushing my teeth, I heard a knock at the front door. From the window, I spotted 2 large black SUVs angled in my driveway. Engine still running. My stomach gave a slow, uneasy twist. When I opened the door, they were already lined up, 4 of them. 1 woman, 3 men, all in dark suits. All wearing expressions that said my day was about to take a turn I couldn't reverse. The woman stepped forward, voice flat but firm. Are you Nadia Bachano? Yes, I heard myself say. My mouth was dry. They flashed badges in unison. FBI, we'd like to come inside. 1,000 thoughts crashed through my head. None sticking long enough to make sense. Why the FBI? Why my house? Did something happen to my family? Was this about work, taxes, some stupid thing I didn't even know was illegal? The woman, the one clearly in charge, was asking me something. Her tone was clipped, but my eyes kept darting to the men behind her. They were already moving through my house. One veered into my bedroom, another down the hall, the third disappeared into the kitchen. My throat tightened. Wait, what's going on? Why are you... Ma'am, the woman interrupted. Her gaze was steady. When was the last time you traveled out of state? Travel? The word felt strange in my mouth. My brain was split, half answering, half tracking where the other FBI agents were. I don't know. I mean, it's been a while. Where were you the evening of? She rattled off a date that meant nothing to me, but her eyes stayed locked on my face. The man in the kitchen opened a cabinet without asking. The soft thud of it closing keeps my attention. Why are they in my house? I blurted, sharper than I meant. We just need to verify a few things, she said, calm as if this were routine. But nothing about this was routine for me. My pulse was in my ears. Every question slipped away before I could answer, replaced with the growing panic of strangers moving through my house, touching my things, leaving an invisible trail I couldn't erase. She flipped through a new page on her notebook. Where were you yesterday? Here. I didn't leave the house. Her eyes flicked toward the kitchen just for a second, and that's when I saw him. One of the men standing with the box in his hands. What's in this package? He asked. I blinked at him. I don't know. It's actually my neighbors. They asked me to sign for it while they were out of town. His eyebrow furrowed. Then why? He said slowly. Is it addressed to you? I stammered. They said it would be easier if... Look, they changed the delivery, so it came here, but it's not mine, I swear. Even as I said it, I could hear how bad it sounded, like something a guilty person would say. The woman's gaze didn't soften. The other men had stopped moving, their attention fixed on the box. "This makes no sense," the man muttered. And before I could protest, his fingers tore at the tape. The cardboard gave a squeaking groan. Inside, beneath brown packing paper, was a thick envelope. He pulled it out, broke the seal, and tipped the contents onto the table. A letter addressed in bold Arial font. He read the first line out loud. "Nadia, it's done." The rest he kept to himself, but his jaw tightened as he scanned it. Beside it, stacks of cash, 25 grand, rubber bands snapping faintly under his thumbs. Then the photos, spilled like a deck of cards across the table. Each one catching the president at different events, shaking hands, smiling, walking into buildings. Some were grainy, others were so close I could feel the crowd. I stood there, stunned, my mouth open, but nothing came out. My brain was a fog. What the hell is this? The woman's voice cut through. "What neighbor were you referring to?" I pointed across the street. "Corey and Tori, they're away in Vermont. They asked me to sign for it." That letter had my name on it. My name. What the fuck? What the fuck is up with Tori and Corey? The fuckers. One of the men stepped away, phone already at his ear, murmuring low. I guess he was running their names. For the first time since they arrived, a flicker of relief slipped into my chest. Once they knew about Corey and Tori, once they confirmed I was telling the truth, maybe, just maybe I'd be okay. The man came back, sliding his phone in his pocket. He stood there for 2 seconds before saying, "There is no Tori and Corey," he said. "The house across the street is an Airbnb. The owner said they haven't had a booking in over 2 months. I blinked. Then how the hell were they staying there? I found it hard to find air to fill my lungs. My mind goes to Tori coming to the door with this easy smile. Corey coming with that amazing salmon, all fake. Every moment, a performance. The woman stepped toward me, voice steady. Turn around. Cold metal bit into my wrist. The click of the cuffs was final. Somewhere behind me, the man with the box said, "Bag everything." And it all slammed into place. Corey's vague job, Russian company. The accents I ignored. The way they always seem to know more than they should. They must be the ones who assassinated the president. Framing me. Motherfuckers. And just like that, they were gone, probably halfway out of the U.S. by now. How stupid was I? Turns out my neighbors weren't quirky. They were the kind of people Dateline makes entire seasons about. And I was the gullible supporting character who didn't realize the whole plot revolved around me. Y'all, that will conclude today's episode of Book to Not Bother. I hope you enjoyed today. I had fun. I actually had fun today. Stay booked and not bother. I'll see y'all next time.